Welcome back to Always Two Auto Reviews. Here I have this 2021 Mercedes AMG CLA 35 to review courtesy of Mercedes-Benz of Seattle. I think this is actually quite a good vehicle, especially in its segment, and today I'll show you why. Without further ado, let's break this car down and complete a review. Now up front on the CLA 35, you have more of that basic AMG base model styling. If you park this next to an AMG 835, I really wouldn't be able to tell what the difference was until I looked at the headlights. The bottom portion on this bumper does feature this black piece. This does have the AMG night package, so you get more of these gloss black appointments all across the vehicle. I will be sure to show you those. The side features this fake vent, which does house a parking sensor and more gloss black pieces. There is a pass-through vent to channel air across the wheels and the sides of the vehicle, which is pretty much the only functional piece on this side of the vehicle, aside from the headlights, obviously. The center does feature this largely real grille. The bottom corners have been blocked off to provide space for the parking sensors. Safety is definitely a #1 concern for the driver of the vehicle, so they are sure to give you as much assistance as possible. We also have this basic cross spoke grille with the AMG logo right there, front and center. Not centered, but you get what I mean. And then the hood has these 4 body lines which do run into the bumper as well. Good attention to detail from Mercedes. Let's move on to the side. Moving on to the wheels on the CLA 35, here we have the matte black multi-spoke AMG wheels wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. These wheels are 245 millimeters in diameter and do have a size of 19 inches. And behind these wheels you can see the very large drilled AMG brakes with the gray calipers, which I do like quite a bit. Underneath this hood you have this 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder producing 302 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers get the vehicle to 60 in a staggering 4.8 seconds with the aid of the 7-speed twin-clutch transmission and all-wheel drive 4MATIC drivetrain. This is literally the same exact engine, transmission, and 4-wheel drive system used in the AMG A35. Now, since this car doesn't have an inline 6 or a V8, fuel economy is pretty good. 22 in the city, 29 on the highway. Now, this is still an AMG, so don't cheap out on gas. 91 octane is the minimum fuel rating. At the side of the AMG A35, this is my second favorite external viewpoint of the vehicle. I say that because it is very nice and low to the ground, and the roofline is very slender and long. The front fender has this turbo 4MATIC badge. You have a turbocharged engine. Why not have your fender say turbo along with the vehicle's drivetrain lifted right there? Speaking of the front fender, the negative offset that the wheels provide are very well streamlined with the front fender, the rear fender, and this side skirt. The side skirt also has this gloss black piece painted across it, which is included with the AMG night package. The AMG night package on the side also includes this gloss black window framing along with these gloss black mirrors. Speaking of these gloss black mirrors, these are included with the premium package that this vehicle has, and in that premium package they are auto folding. Allow me to demonstrate that for you. The vehicle is currently unlocked. I have the keys in my pocket. There's a sensor on the door handle. Once I press that, the vehicle locks, it beeps, which you can actually turn off, and then the mirrors do fold. Now, in order to make them fold back out, stick your hand inside the handle and they open like so. Now, with the premium package, you also get keyless entry, which is called Keyless Go by Mercedes-Benz. All you have to do is stick your hand in and it should open like so. The vehicle is not unlocked, that's why it was so easy, but you get what the idea is. And then these windows are not framed, which is always a plus in my book. It definitely looks better on this coupe-like sedan. Now, a lot of you on my previous video of the AMG A35 said that I was exaggerating the fact that it was small. Now, this vehicle does have a similar wheelbase, and I'll show you how small it is compared to an NC Miata. Not that big, is it? Let's go back onto the rear. Now here we are at the rear end of the 2021 Mercedes AMG CLA 35. The rear end is easily my favorite part of the entire vehicle, and this is actually my second favorite rear end on any Mercedes-Benz vehicle ever. My most favorite one is the W212 facelift E63S rear, and that is just gorgeous. But this is a close second. Mercedes-Benz always kills their rear ends, except on that new S-Class. We don't talk about that one though. Now, the lower portion of this bumper does have more of that gloss black finishing with a gloss black diffuser as well, all included in the AMG Night package. You also have black exhaust tips. I'll show you how those sound right now. In the center, you do have two red reflectors on each side, along with the license plate mounting bracket. Now, the trunk lid on this AMG is very nice. I do like the way this lip spoiler does poke out. It's big enough to where it is noticeable but not obnoxious. You also have chrome, AMG, and CLA 35 badges over here. Now, over here you do not have a way to open it, nor do you have a backup camera. That is all situated inside the Mercedes star emblem. So in order to open the trunk, all you do is push it like this, and it shall pop open. And you will be thinking, well, where is the backup camera? It's actually situated inside this star. If you see right inside here, there is a little plastic piece covering it. Once you put the car into reverse, the little plastic piece opens up, and then the camera pops open. Now here we have the trunk. It's relatively large for this segment of vehicle. You also have two latches over here to fold the rear seats. This vehicle does have rear seats. Though it may look like a coupe, it's still a sedan. Let me get on with the trunk test and show you how nice it is. As you can see, I completely fit inside here, so it is a pass on the trunk test. Let me get into the rear seats. At the rear seats, here is where the small size of the vehicle doesn't really do it justice. Let me start off with the door panel. You have this plastic aluminum-like piece right here as a door handle. You also have this plastic window button over here with a plastic door handle. But one nice thing is you do get lock and unlock buttons in the rear seats. Here's the Burmester sound system, a part of it at least. It does sound very good, handles bass tremendously well. You also have a really small cup holder right over here. Now, in terms of seat comfort, the seat itself is pretty good, especially in terms of back support. But I have this seat set to my desired sitting position, and you can see I only have about 1.5 inches of knee room, and my head is actually touching the ceiling when I do put it all the way back. Now, if you did have a shorter driver and you were about my height in the back, it really wouldn't be too much of a problem. But if you have someone my height in the front and my height in the rear or taller, then you will definitely run into some problems, at least in long drives. But this does feel pretty good. One thing I do not like about these 35 trim levels on the AMG series is that the interior just doesn't feel like an AMG. It feels like a regular 220 or 250 or 300. It's just that the AMG wheel has been put there, and you have an AMG infotainment system, and that's pretty much the only differences that I can spot from a regular base model CLA or A-Class. But this leather or MB text does feel pretty good. There is gray in the center of these seats, which I'm not the greatest fan of. If the interior is going to be black, I think it should just be straight black. But if you do like a bit more dimension in your interiors, this does provide that. On the left side of the steering wheel, more of that basic Mercedes features with the parking brake, push to engage, pull to disengage, and then all of the light settings. The cruise control is not over here. It's actually on the left side of the steering wheel, which I will show you now in addition to the rest of the interior. Here you are in the interior on the 2021 CLA 35. Now, I do like this wheel over here. It is fully wrapped in Dynamica. I prefer the one where it is leather over here and Dynamica over here, but to each their own. Now this vehicle does have the optional feature, which does have the drive mode select system over here. Once you do it like this, you can see that the drive mode changes over there. Now the exhaust is valved, so once you do put it into Sport Plus mode, the valves on the exhaust open up. And then over here you also have your traction control off, and the way that your transmission moves, this is manual, this is automatic. Always a good option to have. Now this sensor right over here does control the screen on the right, and this sensor over here does control the screen on the left. I have done a complete review on this infotainment system in my AMG A35 review. I'll link that in the description. I'll just show you what's different about the CLA. Now in terms of the door trim and overall trim design, it is identical to the A-Class. Now these cup holders are different. As you can see, once you push them out like this, they open up like that to host your drink, which is always great. Now this area over here does not have a cover, which I do not like that much, but it is not that big of a deal. Now here we have a blank switch. I'm unsure of what that does, so if you do know what that does, let me know in the description below. Here is another way to change the drive mode select system. Pretty straightforward. And then you also have your navigation button, your radio button, your phone button, along with the volume controls. Now a lot of people don't know how to actually make the infotainment system skip a track, so once you do that, you have to press this button and then move either right or left, and then it'll skip a track. I do know someone that does not like the fact that you have to do 2 clicks. They do prefer to have just one button to skip a track, but that's still not too bad. One thing that I did point out earlier in the review is that this doesn't feel like an AMG interior, and I say that because in most AMG vehicles, this piece right over here does have the AMG plaque embroidered into it, and this does not. And there is really no other AMG trim in this entire vehicle except in the infotainment system and the bottom of this AMG wheel right here. The ambient lighting system, again, very good. And then you also have the sunroof, which is relatively large for a regular sunroof. You also have these sport seats, which again do look very good as well. Now there's one thing about this interior in relation to driving that I do like a lot, and let's set up a scenario for it. I put the vehicle into drive, the parking brake has been released. Let's say you're out here driving and you want to come to a stop at a stoplight. Now the vehicle is stopped, but it's going to be a very long signal. So what do you want to do if you want to release your foot? So you push down on the brake and hold it there. And then once you do that, you can see the hold button does come up on the infotainment system, and you can see my foot is completely released from the brake. Now if you want to keep going, hold down on the brake again and release. Very simple. Let's get on to a proper drive of the AMG A35. Here we are driving the 2021 CLA 35, and it is not that bad of a vehicle on the road. Now once I did take it out on the road, the first thing I noticed is that the suspension really isn't too harsh like you found in other AMG models. This is more like just a regular CLA 250 in terms of ride comfort. Yes, it is a bit more stiffened, but you really don't feel it, and when you go over bumps, the rebound stiffness really isn't that harsh, which I do like. One-sixth of a throttle acceleration right over there in Sport Plus mode. It did pick up really good, and there is noticeable turbo lag, which I do not like that much. That is a main issue with this car, especially under heavy acceleration. The car does think a lot before it does what you want it to do. Now we will do a standstill acceleration to a bit over the speed limit. The transmission shifts the gears really quickly, and that is something that is good unless you are used to something which does hold out the gears longer. It's all about driver preference. You can hear the turbo in the car, which does sound pretty good, a bit dampened, but it is still there, which is still a good thing, and when you do let off, you get those glorious pops. Tire noise is very prevalent in the cabin, but I am 90% sure that is all because of those very sticky Michelin tires. Wind noise overall was pretty good, not too noticeable in the cabin as well. One last acceleration showing the AMG screen right over here, and now we will do a full throttle acceleration gradually. Keep in mind that this is not a brand new car, the engine and transmission have both been broken into. Overall, I say this is a pretty good sedan with the shape of a coupe. I would recommend it to anyone who's into the Mercedes brand and just wants a small, nimble car. Moving on to the competition, the first competitor is the 2021 BMW M235i Grand Sport X Drive, and in terms of comparison to the CLA 35, I wouldn't even look at this car. In my opinion, it does not even come up to par in terms of looks. It does have 1 horsepower less, and it does accelerate just as quick as the CLA 35 does. Interior quality really isn't as good as Mercedes-Benz because BMW just hasn't come up to that threshold yet. And in terms of looks, this really isn't the best in my opinion. The second competitor is the 2021 Audi S3 Sportback, and if I were in the market to buy a vehicle of this segment, this would be my choice. I say this because in terms of overall exterior aesthetics, this outdoes the Mercedes and the BMW, and in terms of interior technology, it is on par with Mercedes-Benz, if not even more advanced. It does have 3 more horsepower than the Mercedes, which is a plus, and it does do 0 to 60 in the same 4.8 seconds. The base price is also lower on this vehicle, and that's why it is my go-to. And that is the complete review on the 2021 Mercedes AMG CLA 35. I believe that this is an exceptional vehicle for the value you are paying, which is around $54,000 the way it is spec'd right over here. Now I'd actually have it in a different color, one that brings up the body lines more. I think that the rear end can look a lot more aggressive in the right color, and also I get the different wheels. I like the cross-spoke wheels as opposed to just these multi-spoke ones, but that's just me. Now the engine does handle power very well. If you did want more power, you can upgrade to the CLA 45 and CLA 45S trim levels. You can also add a aerodynamics package on this vehicle, I believe. Now in terms of competition, I would take this over a BMW or Audi just because the interior is finished a bit better. Now my only complaint with the vehicle was actually about the interior not making it feel like a proper AMG, and this is built in America with a machine-made engine and transmission, so you can't really complain about the fact that it's not a real AMG. But regardless, I think it is very well built, especially for something that's built in America. Those Mercedes-Benz vehicles do have a bit more quality control complaints, but I don't see any right over here except for the fact that there is lots of plastic in the interior. In terms of driving, it drives really well. It does stick to the road quite well as well. You can break loose if it is a bit wet, so do be careful if you do buy one of these. That is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please do consider subscribing, and remember to keep on driving.